Good morning once again. Good day, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome back to the Theories of Crime Causation, and this will be the last of the lecture under this subject. And there may be other discussions on theories of crime causation in a different subject. So for this video, it is focused on the developmental theories under the life course and the latent trait theories. Okay, so once again, this is Darlito Bernard Gidrizo, known as Sir D or Tatay D or Dr. D, welcoming you to this last lecture under this subject. So the purpose of this lesson is to enable the learners or the watchers or the viewers to be able to discuss the main concept of developmental theories and to formulate examples based on real life situations using the concept of those theories. So what are the developmental theories? Okay, so we learned in the earlier video that developmental theory is we call it known also as the life course theory. However, these developmental theories will speak of the integrated theories on life course and on the trait theories. Okay, so these developmental theories aim to identify and examine and deeply understand the developmental factors that would explain the onset or the start and the continuation of a criminal career. In other words, it's just like a case study in which you are going to try to trace kung paano nagsimula na maging deviant or maging delinquent ang isang tao, and then kung nag-peak ba yung kanyang pag-commit ng deviancy, naging criminal ba siya or nag-stop yung kanyang pagiging criminal, and then nag-develop ba ulit yung kanyang pagiging delinquent or criminal. So that is the idea of the developmental theory, and to identify what are the probable reasons bakit nagkakaroon ng pagiging deviant or criminal ang isang tao at a certain age or at a certain time of his life. Okay? And also, developmental theories aim to answer the question why an individual criminal stops or desists in committing crimes. No? Pinapag-aralan kung ano yung mga reason bakit ang isang tao nung bata siya hanggang college hanggang nag-asawa ay criminal siya and all of a sudden bigla siyang nagbago. Okay? Or ano naman yung most likely na reasons bakit ang isang tao ay persistent sa kanyang pagkukumit ng criminal activities. So further, the developmental theories attempt to explain the natural history of a criminal career. So susubukan ng developmental theories na explain nga kung paano nga no nag-develop ang historical or criminal history ng isang tao mulong siya nagsimula, nagpatuloy at sa kanyang pagtigil ng pag-commit ng crime or hanggang siya ba ay tumandat na matay na siya ay criminal. So developmental theories in crime causation is actually started by Sheldon and Eleanor Glueck, no? When they tracked the onset and termination of criminal careers, which led to the creation of developmental theories. We know Sheldon and Eleanor Glueck as one or two of the prominent people insofar as somatotyping theory is concerned. But actually, they also tried to track down kung paano nagsimula at paano natigil ang criminal careers na mga subject nila, and eventually na-develop yung tinatawag nating developmental theories. And the developmental theories are those theories attempting to provide a global vision of a criminal career that will encompass, again, the onset, the continuation, and termination. And the varieties of developmental theories fall under the life course theories, similar to what we have already discussed, and the latent trait theories. Okay? So let's go back. Ano nga ba yung life course theory? So in the life course theory, we remember that as we grow or as individuals grow, they enter in a different stages of life. And the different stages of life, there may be some transitions. And the transitions may have a negative or positive impact on their life. Say for example, no, nabanggit natin sa discussion natin sa life course theory na ang isang bata nung siya ay nag-high school, kalagitnaan ng kanyang high school ay nagkaroon ng problema sa bahay nila, maaring namatay si nanay, si tatay, or naghiwalay si nanay sa si tatay. So that is an example of transition kasi biglang na-stop yung kanyang pag-aaral. Now, ano ang effect ng kanyang yung negative transition na yan? Yan ba ay naging challenge sa kanya or yun ba ang nagtulak sa kanya upang maging deviant or maging delinquent? Okay? So that is the summary of the life course theory. And further, of course, life course theories reflect the view that criminality is a dynamic process. No? In other words, marami yung mga factors na mag-affect, okay, sa changes ng buhay ng tao. The same thing doon sa pagiging criminal ng tao. And it can be influenced by many characteristics like your traits. Kasi pag sinabi nating traits, yung mga natural impulsivity natin, natural sensitivity natin, natural aggressiveness natin. And of course, to include the experiences in life and what are the possible behavior changes, whether it is for good or for better or for worse over the life course of an individual. Okay, so under the life course theories, you have the interactional theory and the age graded theory and the social development model. So ang mga theories na ito ay ina-attempt or ina-assume na ano yung mga factors na in a certain age of a person, bakit nandoon yung deviate yung landas ng isang tao to commit criminal activity or activities. So again, the other variety of the developmental theory is your latent trait theory. Under the latent trait theory, we remember that persons or every human being have their natural or nature or the innate or inherent aggressiveness or impulsivity or emotional temperament. Okay? So, however, it is not a single theory actually. That's why we call it the Latin trait theories, in which it reflects the view that criminal behavior is controlled by a master trait, meaning yung pinaka main na personality mo, whether ikaw ay mainitin ng ulo or mapagpasensya, mataas ang self-control or otherwise. Okay? And yan ay naging part na ng personality mo all throughout your life that may cause somebody to commit a crime or somebody to conform with the law. So under the Latin trait theories, you have the general theory of crime, on the differential coercion theory, and the control balance theory. So all of these theories under the Latin trait theories and the life course theories, all of these are, we call it, trying to determine what makes a person commit a crime in a certain age or all throughout his life. So first, we have the interactional theory of Terence Thornberry. So, pinagsama niya yung social control and social learning. So, when we speak of social control, we are referring to the inner containment and the outer containment of a person. Meaning, ano yung nagko-control sa isang tao dun sa kanyang inner na containment capabilities at saka yung mga factors outside him na maaring nagko-control para siya ay maging law-abiding citizen. And kinombine niya yung social learning that when we interact with the society, when we interact with the people around us, more or less we learn their good or bad behavior. So pinag-combine ni Thornberry ang mga yon at tinawag niya na interactional. So according to Thornberry, the onset or the beginning of a criminal behavior can be traced to a deterioration of the social bond during adolescence. Meaning, yung bata ay lumaki na maganda yung family bond nila. Okay? Maayos ang pamilya, maayos ang pagdisiplina. And all of a sudden, maaring yung parents niya ay naka-encounter ng negative transition sa kanilang buhay when that child enters his adolescent age. So with that, no, ay nagkaroon ng deterioration sa social bond kasi nasira yung dati-rate na magandang samahan sa loob ng bahay. Okay? So more or less, yun ang maari, sabi ni Thornberry, na pinagsisimulan ng deviancy ng isang bata. Kung sa elementary or sa high school or sa college. At kapag nawikan yung attachment niya sa parents niya or commitment niya sa school or belief niya in conventional values, more or less ang mga ito, sabi ni Thornberry, ay magkokos ng commencement or onset or starting or beginning of deviancy of an individual. So further, Thornberry said that the start of a criminal career is supported by residence in a social setting in which deviant values and attitudes can be learned from and reinforcement by delinquent peers. So sinasabi niya na meron na ngang negative transition sa buhay ng batang yan, tapos sa kanyang tinitirhang lugar, sa kanyang neighborhood, sa kanyang mga kabarangay or kapurok, ay ganun pa na yung setting ay maraming kalukuhan na nakikita doon or ginagawa doon. So, na-reinforce yung kanyang isip na gumawa ng kalukuhan, no? Hindi na nga magandang naging relasyon sa bahay, tapos yun pa yung kanyang komunidad, yun pa yung kanyang school. So, pagsamahin mo yan, according to Thornberry, one will become a criminal or a deviant or delinquent. So further, Thornberry said that kapag mahina na yung bond, no, yung social bond natin, yung mga attachment natin, no, yung mga activities natin sa barangay, pag mahina na yan, okay, tapos normally ang mga bata naghahanap ng ways, no, na mga alternative. So kapag siya ay napasama sa mga hindi magagandang mga kaibigan, yun ang tendency noon. Mayroon na problema sa bahay, napasama pa siya sa hindi magagandang kaibigan. So that will now be the onset of him to be involved in delinquency. Pero kahit mahina naman yung bonds niya or attachment niya or nangyari sa pamilya nila, pero mabubuting kaibigan naman yung makaibigan niya, so more or less malamang ay maaring ma-stop yung kanyang pagkukumit ng delinquency. So this is the bird's eye view of Thornberry's interaction theory. Okay? So sa buhay ng bawat tao, may mga nangyayaring transitions. At mga transitions na yan ay maaring negative or positive. Okay? So samahan mo pa na pag mahina na yung bonding variable sa buhay ng tao, no, nabanggit natin kanina, at samahan mo pa ng masamang environment, social environment. Okay? At kung ano yung neighborhood characteristics nila and ano yung mga ugali sa kanilang barangay. And ang tendency, sabi ni Thornberry, ay magkokos ng delinquent behavior. Okay? So, yun ang natawag natin maaring, kumbaga, ang magiging explanation kung bakit maraming nagiging delinquent na mga bata or mga high schoolers. And of course, to prevent crime, then sa mga nagkakaroon ng mga negative transition sa buhay nila na mga young people, ay dapat merong mga alternative or may mga programs ang mga concerned authorities like the school or the community upang hindi mapasama sa masasamang kaibigan yung isang individual na nag-undergo ng negative transition sa kanyang buhay. That yung mga transition sa buhay, yung mga turning point sa buhay, whether negative or positive yan, no? Na mangyayari parang sa life course theory yan, na pag, say for example, nag-asawa, yun ang turning point, nagbago na siya kasi may asawa na siya. So, maaring yon ang tinatawag natin na naging turning point ng kanyang buhay kaya hindi na siya nagkukumit ng crime. O yung turning point naman ay nagkaroon ng malaking problema sa turning point para siya maging criminal also. Okay? So, criminals who have entered happy marriages and quality marital life may desist or stop from committing crime anymore. So, that is the turning point. So, yun ang hinahanap noon. So, in a given life, ng isang tao, kumbaga sa life course theory, may mga transition. Doon naman sa age graded theory, ito naman yung tinatawag natin, may mga maaring turning point that may lead or may lead to a good life or to a bad life. So also, there are criminals who are already aged but also stop in committing crime because their body physique and stamina could not support them anymore. In other words, may mga tao na biglang nag-stop na mag-commit ng crime kasi hindi na kaya ng katawan. Or maaring nag-mature na rin yung kanilang morality. Kaya nung nag-40 sila or nag-50 sila or 60 sila, eventually nag-stop silang mag-commit ng crime. Ang tawag nila doon ay aging out process or aging out phenomenon. So, when a person disease spontaneously, no? Bigla na lang, walang nagsabi, walang nag-remind sa kanya, walang nag-counsel sa kanya, walang transition sa buhay niya, pero bigla na lang na nagbago siya. No? Maaring na-realize niya na nag-mature na yung kanyang morality or hindi na kaya ng kanyang katawan yung pagkukumit ng crime. Okay? So the tendency for youths to reduce the frequency of their offending behavior as the aged is thought to occur among all groups of offenders. So sinasabi na halos lahat daw ng mga criminal offenders may panahon sa kanilang buhay, pagtanda nila na mag-stop na sila at ang tawag doon ay aging out phenomenon. But there was a study actually na isang excuse diyan si J.C. James, isang tawag natin namuno ng J.C. James Gang sa Amerika in the late 1800s. No? At hanggang siya ay namatay ay hindi siya nagbago na kriminal. Pero yung kanyang mga kapatid ay nagbago at the midst of their life, nagbago sila ng pamumuhay. But si Jesse James ay criminal all throughout nung siya ay namatay. No? Okay. So this is the example, no? Na sa aging out, may mga peak. So sa pag nag-adolescence ng tao, medyo tumataas yung level of delinquency tapos bumababa yan. So depende sa transition ng buhay at depende sa mga turning point. Okay? Now, we have the social development model. This is now under the trait theories, no? By Weiss, Catalano, and Hawkins. So to them, they called their model the SDM, the Social Development Model, when they said that there are different factors affecting child social development over the life course. So sabi nila, merong mga iba't ibang factors na mag-apekto sa pag-develop ng social life ng isang tao. As children mature within their environment, elements of socialization control their development process, and they will either be insulated from delinquency or encourage their antisocial activities. So ito yung ganun din yung sinasabi parang sa life course theory. Parang dun sa age graded theory na sinasabi na an individual as he grows na may mga bagay na mag-stop sa kanya na mag-commit ng crime or may mga bagay na mag-enhance upang or mag-encourage upang siya ay ma-involve sa antisocial activities. And commitment and attachment to conventional institutions, activities, and belief, okay, the social bond, yun ang mga mag-insulate or yun ang mga bagay na magpuprotect sa bata upang hindi siya maging delinquency or maging delinquent. Okay? So, in this particular social model, since mahalaga pala, ang titignan kasi ng social development model ay yung role ng environment, okay, na nag-shape sa ugali ng bata. So, therefore, sinasabi ng social development model na yung control sa bata ay yung tinatawag nating, how do you call that, the growing up age of a boy or a girl, no, or an individual, yung kanyang growing up ay napakahalaga yung kanyang learning stage, napakahalaga na mabuti yung mga nakakasalamuhan niya, mabuti yung kanyang nakikita upang hindi siya makapag-develop ng delinquency at the latter part of his adolescence age. Okay? Kaya sinasabi ng social development model na napakahalaga yung role ng mga parents because they are the first teachers para yung bata ay maging mabuti o hindi. Kaya kapag yung mga magulang ay hindi maganda ang pagdisiplina sa kanila, so eventually yung bata ay magkakaroon ng delinquency or delinquent activities also. Just like yung nangyari sa Tarlac, no? Ano ang sabi ng asawa nung pinatay na babae? Ang sabi niya, wag niyo nang idamay yung anak niya, bakit ganun ang ugali niya? Walang kasalanan yung bata, maaring mali lamang yung pagtuturo ng kanyang magulang, kaya ganun ang kanyang nagawa. So, ganun ang ibig sabihin no, no? Na depende sa pagtuturo rin ng mga magulang at mga yaya o nakakasama ng mga bata, whether ang bata ay magiging in conformity with the law or magiging anti-social siya. Okay, so ito yung bird's eye view ng social development model. Ang isang bata ay meron siyang cognitive attributes, no, meron siyang kaisipan, naintindihan niya, okay, ang mga nangyayari. At meron din siyang mga interests and motivations. At meron din siyang sariling physical characteristics, whether that the child is uh, yung temperament niya, yung impulsivity niya. And of course, ano naman yung social networks niya, yung makasakasama niya doon sa loob ng bahay and then outside the house. Okay? So, ito, yung magtuturo, tapos sama po ng tawag natin ng mga mabuti magtuturo sa kanya para maka-experience siya ng magagandang bagay. So, eventually, siya ay magiging mabuting tao. So, kapag negative yan, definitely, it will lead that child to criminal life. So, let's move on further sa trait theories natin. So we have the general theory of crime, also known as the self-control theory of Godfredson and Travis Hershey. So they just call that the general theory of crime in their book. Pero basically, tawag din yan ay self-control theory. So Gottfredson and Hershey modified and redefined some of the principles articulated in Hershey's social control theory. Ano nga ba yung social control theory ni Hershey? Ito yung inner containment saka yung outer containment, yung nagko-control sa tao. So, minodify nila yon, nag-focus sila dun sa inner containment ng tao or yung self-control ng tao. Dinagdag pa nila yung elements of trait. Ano yon? Yung impulsivity, yung aggressiveness ng isang tao, at saka yung cognitive portion ng tao kung saan pwede siyang mag-rationalize kung tama o mali yung kanyang gagawin. Okay? So, nag-shift sila from the social control to self-control. Okay? Or the tendency to avoid acts whose long-term cost exceeds their momentary advantages. Meaning, yung kanilang idea is that kapag mataas yung self-control ng tao, okay, ay mawawala yung kanyang tendency na magko-commit ng crime after yung taong yan, no, na mataas ang kanyang self-control, mayroon pa siyang cognitive ability na nara-rationalize niya na momentary lang yung advantages na makukuha niya on that particular crime. So, eventually hindi siya magko-commit ng crime. Okay? So, kaya tinatawag yan na general theory of crime or the self-control theory. So, further, in the GTC or the self-control theory, the propensity to commit crime is dependent on one's self-control. So yung tendency mo na makapag-commit ng kalokohan, depende yan sa self-control level. Kung mataas ang self-control level mo, hindi ka magkapag-commit ng crime. Kapag mababang self-control level mo, makapag-commit ka ng crime. So, therefore, ang criminal activity ng isang tao ay predictable. Kapag nakikita mo yung bata or yung isang tao na mahina siya sa self-control, you can predict na pag hindi ito nagdahan-dahan sa pag-iisip, eventually, yan ay ma-involve sa criminal activity. So, people commit crime when it promises rewards and minimal threat or pain. And the threat of punishment can deter crime. And then, samahan mo pa na mataas yung kanyang, mababa yung kanyang self-control, mag-commit ng crime. Now, kahit ganon, na merong reward sa crime pero mataas pa rin yung self-control ng tao, hindi yan mag-commit ng crime. Okay? And so, that is the idea of the self-control theory. Again, this is the bird's eye view of the general theory of crime or the self-control theory. So, yung tao na mababa ang kanyang self-control level at mahina pa yung kanyang social bonds sa family at meron pang opportunity to commit a crime at meron pa siyang mataas na impulsive personality, So, ang tendency nun ay makapag-commit siya ng criminal or deviant acts. So, further, sa ating trait theories, under the developmental theories pa rin, you have the differential coercion theory by Mark Colvin, as he cited it in his book, Crime and Coercion. Okay? Colvin identifies master traits of people that may guide behavioral choices in which he calls coercion. So, ano nga ba yan? Yung coercion na tinatawag natin yung napuwersa ka na gumawa ng masama, parang ganon. Okay? So the perceptions of coercion can begin in early life when children experience a punitive form of discipline, including both physical attacks and psychological coercion, including negative commands and critical remarks such as teasing, humiliation, whining, yelling, and threats. Okay? So, in other words, nagkaroon siya ng kaisipan na mapipilitan siyang gawa ng kalukuhan kasi yung hindi magandang pagdisiplina, okay, naranasan niya mga physical attacks and psychological coercion. At samahan mo pa ng pagsisigaw sa kanya, no? At pagbabanta sa kanya sa batang yan, so what will happen? That person will eventually become a deviant or a criminal. So, ano yung sources ng coercion? Merong tinatawag na interpersonal coercion. Okay? Involving the use of threat of force and intimidation from the family, no, inside the family. At sa kanyang kaibigan niya na malapit at sa kanyang mga importanteng tao sa buhay niya. So, pag sila ang nagpapanis sa kanya, sila ang nagsisigaw sa kanya, so this person will be coerced to commit a crime. Meron din mga impersonal coercion. Ito yung mga pressures beyond individual control such as economic and social pressures caused by unemployment, poverty, or competition among businesses or other groups. No? Ito na yung sa komunidad or sa society na mga negative occurrences sa buhay ng isang tao. Okay? Na iyon ang mga pwedeng mag-coerce sa kanya para siya ay natawag natin na mag-commit ng deviancy or kalokohan. So, kapag mataas ang level ng coercion, it will produce criminality. Okay? So, pinapagalitan na nga siya, okay? Hinuhumilit na nga siya sa kanyang bahay or sa ng kanyang mga boss, tapos ganun pa na nawalan siya ng pagkakakitaan. So, very high yung possibility na mag-commit ng crime ang isang tao or mag-suicide or gumawa ng ibang kalokohan. Especially when the episodes of coercive behavior are inconsistent and random because this teaches people that they cannot control their lives. And the chronic offenders, pag sabing chronic offenders, ito yung mga all throughout na sa kanilang buhay ay tinatawag natin naging criminal. Okay, after some years naging criminal na sila. So, accordingly, they grew up in homes where parents use erratic control, meaning hindi tama yung pagdidisiplina at hindi consistent yung pagdidisiplina. So, we go back sa deterrence principle ng punishment natin na kapag hindi consistent, hindi certain yung pagdisiplina, eventually it may cause delinquency on the subject individual. Kasi maisip niya, hindi naman consistent yung disiplina. And finally, under the trait theory, we have now the control balance theory by Charles Tittle, no? Or Title. He expand the concept of personal control as a predisposing element for criminality. So the concept of control has two distinct elements. The amount of control one is subject to by others and the amount of control one can exercise over others. Pag sabing control balance ito, yung pagdidisiplina or yung rules and regulations sa barangay. Kung baka naman masyadong istrikto ang nanay, ang tatay, or baka naman masyado silang lax. So, yun ang ibig sabihin nun. So, in that alone, ay pwede nating sabihin na merong negative impact yung masyadong istrikto at meron ding negative impact yung masyadong lax na pagdidisiplina. Kapag yung barangay nyo masyadong istrikto, it may lead to rebellion. Kapag naman yung barangay nyo ay masyadong lax naman ang kanilang implementation ng rules niyo sa ordinances ninyo, magkokos din ng delinquency kasi walang deterrent effect. So, ganoon din sa loob ng bahay. Okay? So, conformity result when these two elements are in balance. So, control imbalances produce deviant behavior. Kasi nga, hindi consistent yung pagdisiplina eh. Okay? So yun ang ibig sabihin, kailangan kontrolado. Kailangan yan ay balance. Okay? Not to the extent na masyadong napaka-harsh yung pagdisiplina to the point na mag-cause ng psychoanalytic tendency ng tao na mag-commit ng crime because hindi niya kaya yung humiliation. At hindi rin dapat na masyadong relax kasi wala nang deterrent or wala nang control yung tao na yan. Okay? So further, deviance increases when there is a control deficit and with excessive control. Okay? And control imbalance will represent now a potential to commit crime and deviance. So, yun ang sinasabi ng control balance theory. Huwag masyadong stricto at di rin masyadong relax ang pagdidisiplina. With that, before we will end this subject matter and this lecture, what does the Bible say? Okay, ang sabi ng Bible ulit ay paalala ko ulit yung paalala nung last lecture that the Lord said that you render true judgment, show kindness and mercy to one another, and do not oppress the widow and the fatherless, the sojourner, or the poor, and let none of you devise evil against another in your heart. Okay? And of course, sa Bible din, sinasabi din yung Proverbs chapter 22 verse 6, sinasabi doon na train up a child the way he should go so that when he will grow, he will not depart from it. In other words, tamang pagdisiplina sa bata upang sa kanyang paglaki ay hindi siya hiwalay sa tamang disiplina. At sinasabi rin ng Bible na wag mong iwasan na paluin yung bata. Or in other words, wag kang mangimi na paluin yung bata provided tamang pagpalo para madisiplina. Okay? So that's all for this subject matter. Thank you very much for watching and listening. If you have any suggestion or you have any comments or question, feel free to write it down below in the comment section. Okay? So with that, if you have not subscribed yet my channel, please subscribe and click the notification bell. So once again, thank you very much and God bless you all.